Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Community Catalyst podcast by the YMCA of Greater Nashua. I'm your host, Lynn Boyer. I'm the Executive Director of Community Impact here at the Y. As mentioned on the last podcast, I've been with the Y for a long time. And although I'm not new to the Y, I am new to this role. And so far, settling in, working with our community partners, working on our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, as well as a slew of other things, and still overseeing aquatics. So, one of my big responsibilities is to work closely with our community partners to see how the Y can sort of bridge the gap on that relationship, how we can assist and support them, as well as what it is that they do for the community so we can use them as a referral and a resource. So we have the great pleasure of having Miranda Melson from Bridges Domestic and Sexual Violence Support Services join us today. And she's going to share a little bit about her organization. But first, she's going to introduce herself. So Miranda, thank you.
Hi, thank you, Lynn. So, my name is Miranda Melson, and I am actually the cultural outreach advocate at Bridges. I've been working here since about May of this year, and my job is to really make sure that all of the populations that are more underserved know about our services. So I focus a lot on working with anyone such as immigrants, LGBTQIA plus folks, low income, things like that. So I'm really excited to be on this podcast today and share about Bridges. And would you like me to talk about what Bridges does?
Yeah, that would be great. If you can share, who you serve, just a little bit about the organization and where you're located.
Yeah, so Bridges, I actually have a little picture behind me of our Nashua office. So this is what it looks like if you're ever driving by. So we serve survivors and victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, stalking, and child abuse. And we have two locations. So the one behind me is our main office, which is located in Nashua. It's on 28 Concord Street. So it's kind of like in between downtown Nashua and Greeley Park. And we also have a second office. So we have an office in Milford. And so that office is on 16 Elm Street. It's in Suite 2. So it's right next to kind of like the community lawn area, the UU Church there, and the Family Guidance Center. And so we do have those two locations, and we serve clients who are in southern New Hampshire. So our catchment area expands beyond just, Nashua and Milford, but it's a lot of the southern New Hampshire area. And if someone calls us, and even if they're outside of our catchment area, we will always try to help them as best as we can and then refer them to like the local crisis center or the resources that is near them.
That's great. And I know, being at the Y for a long time, a lot of our the services we provide or the community we serve overlaps a lot. And I know that Bridges has been a great resource for the community at large. So that's really wonderful. What are some of the collaborations or partnerships that you've done with us at the Y in the past?
Yeah, so I can talk about like one of the most recent partnerships that is kind of still in the works right now. I know that Amy Joe just met with the Y, and she's our education coordinator. So she does a lot of the outreach in like the schools and giving presentations and in the community. And I know she met with you and with Jackie Hancock, the membership director, and then also Iraida Munoz, who's with the public health department and an adaptive swim instructor. So um, that sounds like it was a really great meeting to look how you all can collaborate with us and utilize the wellness center space. And that might be like in the future, we could have groups there, educational events, and then also just looking at if there's any way the Y can support us with the memberships and childcare, which would be super helpful too. But I know you have been working longer than I have, so I don't know if there's any other past events that you know of.
Yeah, definitely. So, first of all, we're so excited to work with Bridges and Amy Joe and offer some space. as well as possible membership collaboration. Again, it just adds that additional layer of support for these communities. So we're really excited about that. About a year ago, we launched our Women's Leadership Resource Network, which is for female identifying staff here at the Y. It kind of serves as like I guess, an employee resource group so that people have, someone else they can talk to that's been through, a Y career. There's mentorship, opportunities, there's events, there's networking, all sorts of stuff. So we did launch our resource network about a year ago. And as part of that launch, we collected female personal hygiene items and we donated them to Bridges. So that was really great to see. People went really above and beyond and brought so many items. And I think Amy Jo was in the Milford office when I dropped them off, and she was just beside herself. How exciting. Every time I brought in another box, she was just getting more and more excited about it. So that was really great. So we're really happy to support you guys as well. What's something exciting that Bridges has coming up that you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, so I want to talk about two things. One is that because it is the holiday season, like it's currently December, we actually have a holiday program going on. So the holiday program is closed, but we have several clients who have signed up. And how that works is we also have donors. So the donor families get to donate to the clients directly, and the clients will make like a wish list of some things that they would like, and we include everyone, so like the parents or adults who don't have children, the kids, and then they get to say like what they would wish for the holiday seasons, and then all the presents get like wrapped up and then we give them to the clients. So that's really exciting right now and a way to support families during the holiday season, and we really appreciate our donors for doing that too. And then the second event that I want to talk about is because it is almost the new year, we actually have an event starting on Saturday, January 27th. It's called Love is in the Air. And this is an event to celebrate healthy relationships and the joy and freedom to live without abuse. And so I have heard that this is like such a fun event. It's basically a gala and there's an auction too. It's like dinner dance type style. And this is at the Sky Meadow Country Club. And so I know we're still having it open. If you want to check out our website, bridgesnh.org, people can sign up if they're interested in going and sponsoring us. And this is really great for fundraising for our organization. And I also know that the Y is going to be sponsoring too. So I really appreciate your support in that.
Yes, yeah, we just donated a membership to, I guess there's an auction part of it. So that's great. Again, another way we're partnering and supporting each other. So that's great. Well, best of luck with both of those initiatives. So I know you haven't been with Bridges for very long, but up until this point, what has been your most proudest moment or your most proudest accomplishment of yourself in your role or just the organization itself?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about both, I guess. So, like with the organization, like the building that you see behind me, for example, we only moved there in 2020. And when I learned that like everything had been decorated very intentionally, whether that was like the color of the rooms to be like calming and like a safe environment feel to it, and it's just really a beautiful space that I think I'm very proud of the organization for having to get to move to this space. And then in addition to that, like we did change our shelter. So we do have an emergency shelter for people who are fleeing abuse. And I learned that before, it was more the communal living environment. And I guess that's maybe how some people might think of like a domestic violence shelter, for example. But they were able to renovate it into individual apartment units. And when that was explained to me, how like this is great because people can then feel like they're living their own independent life, and living with other people isn't always very great, and it doesn't accommodate what someone's personal needs are. And it also means that everyone of any gender can come to our shelter, so it's not like some shelters which have a certain requirement where it's like you have to be like this or that, but our shelter is then open to everyone. And then I guess my personal proudest accomplishment right now is that I was able to help start an LGBTQIA plus adult connections group. And so we have lots of support groups at Bridges, and this is one that I am doing in partnership with the housing advocate Maria, and then also with the Arlington Street Community Center and the director Jessica. And so we have been already starting that up, and it's meeting monthly. And I think this is just a really exciting opportunity for people to get to connect and also talk about like specific topics that are relevant to being LGBTQIA plus, such as like myself and the other people involved. So those are two
Yeah.
things.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, again, I oversee our DEI initiatives. We have a LGBTQ plus resource group ourselves. And it's just so important to add additional support for that demographic, especially at a community organization such as ours, right? So that's amazing. That's wonderful that you're doing that. And I love how you shared about your partnering with others. So instead of just starting from the ground up yourself, being able to
Mhm.
use the Arlington Street Community Center too as a resource. That's wonderful. So last question, if you could only share one thing with people that kind of wraps up what your organization does, what would it be? What would you want to leave our listeners with? One thing to know about Bridges.
Yeah, I would want them to know that all of our services are free and confidential. So it's not the same as maybe some other organizations where they would have to report everything. But when you call us or you walk in the door, like that conversation is kept completely private unless it's related to like child abuse or abuse of a vulnerable adult. So sometimes it's really helpful to just have someone to talk to who's going to be non-judgmental and a confidential environment. And then the other thing is that I wish that everyone knew that anyone is welcome in our door and to reach out to us, and we serve everybody, so it doesn't matter like as far as like gender. I mean, I think some people still think that we only serve women, but that's not true. We actually serve anybody, whether that's men, non-binary people, and all genders, and same with like um, anyone from any background. So like immigrants, for example, it doesn't matter your documentation status. And even if somebody doesn't speak English as their first language and needs an interpreter, we can always get someone on the line who will speak their language. So that's also super important to us. So really, and then like I was saying earlier, how we have services for LGBTQIA plus folks. So everyone is welcome, and I hope that they would feel comfortable reaching out. And as I was talking about earlier, like even if we don't have the specific resources that they need, we will still like not just turn them away or something. We'll still try to connect them and get them help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's wonderful to hear. And thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the work that Bridges does. And thank you for joining us today to further add exposure to your organization as well as our partnership. And to everybody else, thank you for tuning in for our second episode of Community Catalyst. We'll see you next time. Thank you.